Good morning.
How you all doing?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Hello.
Hi. We'll have people sign on a little bit. Sorry. Glad you guys are here. You all finding it easy or challenges? If you have challenges, let me know. Or if you have, that way I can help others who might have the same. Good. You finding the class in it at this point?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Nobody trouble with that? If so, please speak up.
So I have a problem with the module that has the studio tutorial. The video's unavailable.
Studio. Oh, shoot. I remember I actually saw something. I was going to follow up on that. Unavailable for making. So let me actually work on that myself, because I figured over the years when it comes to making videos, I just haven't updated that yet. Is almost easier to use the app for Canvas and make your own selfie video type thing and then upload that than going through Studio. But we'll work on that. Okay. Make tutorial. Any other issues that are early on that anybody mentioned so I can fix them? No, good. Well, that's good. If not, right? All right, good. Well, I think we got some people here, so we'll start. So thank you for joining me in the class. Is Bio 24, the Introduction to Anatomy, Physiology, or basically the human body. A little bit about my background. I've been having myself many back health challenges, musculoskeletal health challenges, and ultimately came from Switzerland over to the US to get some help for that and learning about it. And along the way, I learned about anatomy. And so now I've been teaching it for many years. And I also learned that I got pretty okay hands. And so I ended up studying chiropractic after massage therapy and have been able to help a lot of people and also been privileged to work on some professionals in the NFL. And so that's kind of been really cool. And so now I'm in the process of thinking how to pass along that knowledge in addition to the anatomy knowledge. But here we are for the anatomy. So if you have any questions in regards to muscle bone pain, some training stuff like that, please just feel free and text me. I'm available for you guys, mostly for the class, but also for stuff like that, because sometimes it's hard to find help in the field. With that, I think we can go straight into the class. People call me Dr. M. Maybe I should say that too. Or Doc Muley. Dr. Mullinghouse is just kind of long and rough. And once class is finished, you just call me Christoph, and I don't really. Then we're done talking about it. When I open, let me see, make me smaller. There you go. When we open the class, can you see? Is that showing? Yeah, it is. Look at that. I'm learning this new software as well, that I can be in the middle somewhere and not just on top right somewhere. But the first thing we already talked about, make sure you guys can sign into Canvas. Make sure if that's a problem, reach out to me, troubleshoot, and we can make sure it's happening for you. Also, I get the app myself. Actually, for me, it's also good, some grading, but also I think the phone app has many features that are really do things easily on it, or upload videos. Particularly uploading videos is really great on that, because you can make a selfie type video on it and on your phone and then just upload that. When it comes to turning in work, I want to be as open as possible. Do not just accept writing, but also want to have you guys do videos, do audio in discussion prompts. Writing can be very difficult or hard for some of us, and it's just not necessarily the easiest way to express ourselves. Also, even sometimes drawings or things like that are also acceptable. So multiple modes of expression I like to work with. So work with yourself a little too and find out what you like, what you have proclivities to. So yeah, check out the app. That's really good and a good tool to have. And then when you get into the course, when you're from the dashboard, which probably works now. No, look at that. For some reason, I can't do it. But that's just because I'm in the student view as the teacher. So I'm not sure if not the problem with that. But anyway, when you open a front page, you want to look at that picture. Holy moly. You first see my name. You go in here, you get my contact info. The best way to touch base with me is to text. Just text me. Here's my text number, 510-387-2946. This semester, I'm all here for you. Just reach out. If I don't want to talk to anybody because I'm going to sleep, I put the phone away. So it doesn't matter what time of day it is. You can text me. The other thing is we have a lot of students. I also have a practice in Oakland and patients, and I do pretty much everything myself. So if I don't get back to you, don't take it personal. Just reach out again and bug me again, and I don't take it personal. For me, that's I need to make that caveat because sometimes I do miss things because it's just too much volume. And so don't be worried about just text me again. Be on my case. Then here we have a few links. This goes to the syllabus we'll touch on briefly. This goes to the introduction Zoom sessions, which is going to be this one just laid behind it, so people who can't join the meeting can easily find it. Then this goes to a study tools thing. We talk anatomy, so a lot of that stuff is names and what's this called, what's that called, and so this material lends itself really well to doing flashcards, and so I'm working with flashcards a lot, and I want to talk to you about it and have you guys look into that a little bit. If you're using it or not, then that will be up to you, but at least I want to expose you to it. And then we have this link right in here that I really appreciate. It's this link that is a Zoom link to your own Zoom room that's open 24/7. So that thing is always there. You click on it. If you want to study with somebody, both of you click on that and you go in there and you can communicate with each other and have a study session. As well as me, I can check in too. If you guys have questions, if you guys want to have some input, I try to be available. It doesn't always have to be scheduled. It just, if I can join. You shoot me a text and I can help you with stuff as well. So that's a fairly decent tool. It depends how it's not used always, and not, but if it is used, it's really well liked. So take a look at that and incorporate that if you wish. Then here is the link that goes through the study material, course material. The course is set. If I click here, we're going to go to that. And the course is organized in what's called modules. You can also go to these modules if you click right over here under module. It's pretty much that's the home, and then that's the module. Those are the big ones. The modules are chapters, basically. It's in chapters. When we open these chapters, we have, subheadings, and then in subheadings, we have different things. Most of them are weekly chapters. Some of them are in the beginning, we have a learning chapter, module, orientation one. We go through those. And then we have a few tests where these have their individual modules as well, because we have reviews in them. Yeah, up front, if you hear the word test, you want to know, very detailed review that you can reach back and learn from. Oops, let me make sure this is somebody who can join. Hold on. Zoom. What is it? 7080. Somebody can add. 6686. There we go. Sorry about that. So know that up front that we have a very detailed test review for the exams, but we'll get into that later. I don't want you to stress about that yet too much. It's about learning. Let's see where we at here. Let me find my notes again. So if you get into the first module that I put up is a learning tools module kind of thing. The thing in here, the first page talks about learning tools. I talk about my own challenges, why I'm doing what I'm doing, talks about learning styles a little bit. This is a little outdated, but it's still pretty good. And then this is the big one, the pyramid. How do you learn best? If you're just sitting in a lecture and listening and falling asleep, and that sort of diffusion and simulation thing don't quite work that well. The more you do with the material, the better. Guess why I teach? So I learn it real well. So that talks a little bit about that. I want you to be exposing yourself. Just if you haven't heard about that yet, it's good to know that stuff. Because I work with a variable mindset, with a growth mindset is the word, not a fixed mindset. So if you're not good at something, you can find ways to get better versus, oh, I'm just not good at it. And so this is sort of where I want to try to help you a little more if you haven't heard of that stuff yet. Then we have a TED Talk. I'm a big fan of TED Talks, and he is great about talking about creativity and education and a few things that I'd like you to think about as we get into this semester. And then I get into the flashcard tools, and I talk a little bit in here about how neurons that fire together wire together, which is the foundation of what we call neuroplasticity. But that's the basic of learning. And so the more we repeat something, the more we learn. And in learning, especially in memorization, the more we have to look for a word that we learn or a part or a concept or something, and we have to think about it and remember it in our own mind, the faster we be able to make strong connections and make a strong thought and learn the material. And the neurological basis for that is that these are little dots here are called neurons. These are the nerve fibers that send impulses through the body, and that's at the end of the day a thought, or a muscle moving or something like that. And the more we use a pathway, the more it feeds back into the pathway, and the stronger it gets. And that's the foundation of this concept here. And I want you to think about that a little bit. And that's for me the foundation why I am, why should you care about flashcards? Who cares? It's a lot of work, but it's actually less work if we organize our studies real well than if we don't. And this gives us a really good way of focusing on material that we don't remember as easily as, and not as much on material that we remember easier. So when you look at this graph here, or this diagram, you have different boxes or different clips with numbers on it, and the first one you repeat every day, and you ask yourself the questions, and if you don't know it, the card stays in that box, and you do it every day. And if you know it, if you remember it, then you get into the second box, and this one you review less frequently, maybe twice a week. And then if you still remember it after a few days, you go like, oh, I still remember that. That's a good thing. And slowly it becomes hardwired memory. And then you learn it. And so maybe the third one you repeat once a week, and the fourth one before the test a couple times, and the fifth one is storage. Or, you can figure out yourself of how that works. But it helps us spend time on things that we need to focus on versus just looking at everything and missing a whole bunch of points, or end up focusing on the things we've already memorized or we already know. So I just want you to be exposed to that so you can use it if you like it, and if not, at least you know about it. This is from the 70s. It's called the Leitner system. And then anatomy is a visual medium, and so but what I have found is the textbooks that we're using are all way text heavy, and I've been working on this stuff for about 30 years, both as a student and as a professional, working with the patients. And I went through many anatomy and physiology books, and what I have done over the years is just try to extract the essence out of them, and make my own material with using a lot of visuals, a lot of pictures to understand it, and sort of came up with a three-pronged system of, and it was sort of developed over the years as I asked the students, how can I make it better? What's going on with, how can I teach you, make it easier to understand? And so what we do mostly in this class is we watch videos to get and let the information sink in, sit there and just be able to not have to sit there for an hour, but maybe 10 minutes, maybe, how long we can pay attention to. And then we follow along with the booklets, which has a lot of visuals in it, and we can take notes. We have a few sentences and text, or bullet points types. And then the material things, and the booklets also have barcodes, so you can just go straight to the videos. Because the other thing that's important to me is you have an environment, be in an environment that is conducive to learning. How can you set that up for you? And very often that could be in a cafe or in a car, outside in well, maybe not today, but when it's not raining. And so with the material being not a big old textbook that you have to grab, I remember seeing this mom in Lake Merritt, and she had this big textbook and was sitting there studying, and the kid was playing in the yard, and I had the same thing 10 years before myself. And it was just she was like, you know, trying to grab the kid and do the book. And so that was part of why I had thought about this kind of way of doing it. And then thirdly, what you do after being exposed to the material, then you have questionnaires that follow through, and every concept that I go through in the review, in the video, is or in the material, is then followed up with a question that you read the paragraph where it's described in other words, again, what we're trying to learn, and then you answer a question to it. And usually the questions aren't that heavy to answer, and those are ways that then you massage sort of the material into your brain. And so that's how I sort of came up over the years of how this material is fairly easily taught. And then afterwards we have multiple experiences or multiple assignments that we're doing with the material, and I'll go through those in a few minutes. Oh, the other thing I want to make sure, in my Zooms, I do all this myself, so I can't see everybody when I talk. So I want you to interrupt me. I don't want you to raise hands. I want you just to speak into me, like the opposite what you're supposed to do in a classroom. Here, I want you to do that with me. So if anything comes up as a question, say, stop me the talking, since I talk a lot anyway. That's okay. It's not rude for me in this situation. Stop me the talking and ask the question, and then we can go through that. Because I prefer more than less. I prefer more interaction. So if you have questions, please be interactive with me. It makes it a little bit easier, and also makes me understand what kind of information you need more of. So the last link, and the reason why I'm of course still doing these booklets in my own, printing situation and all of that, and not through an official thing, is because there's a lot of stapling, there's a lot of color, there's a lot of folding, a lot of collating, and it's just way too expensive to send it out. I haven't found a way of doing it yet, unfortunately. I'm still working on that. I'm sure we come up with it at some point. The technologies are all changing over these years very fast. And then this last link here is a tutoring link. That's one that I also think is great. Merritt offers free online tutoring, which I think, if you feel like, should really take advantage of. And it's taking a little long here. We're not going to wait for that link to show up. But going to that, also, I try to be available for you. So, I might not be able to tutor you, but questions and things and connecting people together that might be able to help each other, that's for sure something that I can be part of. And again, I'm always here to answer questions. Please reach out. Then from there, we go into the orientation module. A little bit of house cleaning. Who am I? How to talk to me? Text, just text. Other things are here too, but text. Syllabus is here. Then I also, let me see, where's the syllabus here? I also, well, let's do the syllabus real quick. This is all in the syllabus. So you click on these things, you get to these tabs here. So the syllabus talks about what we're doing here, how the information about me, which we already talked, that we like to be inclusive with everybody. Of course, we actually have a whole diversity thing we're doing, which I think is really cool. Also the online etiquette, the netiquette, so that we talk to each other nicely. We talk about that a little bit. Then the resource page. A lot of that you already got in the welcome letter. And then we talk about the class material. We talked already about that. And these learning objectives, that's just official school language. You don't have to worry about that. Oh, look at that. It's even misspelled right there. And then the grading. Now, the grading, that's probably what we want to talk about. So when we work on the material, we're going to get it and watch videos and look at the pictures. And then we have these questions. And so these questions you can take over and over and over again. And the highest score counts. And so it's really a way to massage the thing in. I want you to take them repeatedly. I want you to learn from them. I actually even made videos that are laid behind that go through them. So you don't even have to worry if you don't feel like doing all this reading stuff, just watching that other video and you get it too. Because at the end of the day, it's about how you get the material best into this brain over here. And then we also have discussion boards. So we talk to each other. I want to know your opinion of things. Or I also have some posts that I want to know a little more about, some concepts. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. And then there are some discussion boards around it. In the latter part of the course, we have a pathology project, which is often it's really liked. I think, and where we have groups of 3 people of you that follow a disease and learn about the disease and what the medical community is doing about it and what we can do about it as individuals, and then we present that material to the class. And usually it was a presentation, but this semester, I'm thinking we might move it into a infographic sort of style presentation. So it's useful because at the end, then what I like is that the other students can learn from each other and we can then talk to other people about things. Because one of the things I have found in medicine, well, let me back up. The reason why I'm teaching this class is that I can teach as many people as possible about the body and how it works fundamentally and give you tools to then be able to make good medical and health decisions about yourself. It also happens to be an anatomy and physiology class that gets you started into the health medical fields. But also at this stage, I think it's very, very important that we learn it also for our own self, for our families, because medicine is very complicated and complex and great, but very complex. So the more we know, the better we can utilize what's offered. Anyway, there we go. Or understand when we have to do something ourselves. So the pathology project kind of reaches into that. It started when a student came and said, she missed something, and she says, I'm so sorry, I was with my son at the ER for an asthma attack. And I asked what they did, and then she said, well, they gave him albuterol. I said, well, did they also talk about things like milk and dairy products, that they might make more phlegm or sugar products, which, very, very problematic these days? And of course they didn't. And so I figured, oh, we got to work from there. I'll do something about that. And so that's how that pathology project idea got started. And so, and then we also have a lot of lab activities. And the lab activities are mostly labeling and coloring exercises as a first, and then health integration exercises. And then the dissections at this point, I got to put those actually as sort of optional extra credit, because we do those in person in the school, and whatever we do in the classroom is extra credit because it's optional. It's not obligated, although it's not mandatory. Although I would like to make it somewhat mandatory again. It's just because your learning experience is definitely much more enriched. And I do urge people to join if we can. And we do meet in person when we do dissections. I also meet in person when we do muscles and bones. So we do not meet until February 19th on Monday. And most semesters so far, we did not have sufficient amount of students to war on Monday and Wednesday labs. That's sometimes a little bit of a trouble, but if we fill up Monday, or we have sufficient, and then we can also, depending on, have a Wednesday section if there is interested people, or we have enough people that want to join. But I'll be reaching out to you guys as we get closer to that. But do not show up tonight. There's no lab tonight. I will reiterate that via text as well. Then we also have in here, we have these, label and coloring exercises are here to learn anatomy terms. They have shown, that labeling is good exercise to understand terminology. And then coloring is actually also good because it inspires the brain to learn. And these exercises are actually often really liked because they're kind of therapeutic, because you can color. And even as adults, coloring is a really good thing to do. And then we integrate what we learn with some real life based activities that I created over the years. And those are health integration. I call them the health kit, actually, because what we do, for example, if we have a chapter on chemistry. second week, which, you know, is like, oh my Lord, don't worry, we don't go too deep. We just have to go as deep that we understand the body stuff. But then we, for example, we go to the store and look at boxes and read food labels and analyze them a little and understand a little better what actually the chemistry in our food is. So then we learn later on, well, what is it actually that we put in our body? And so it becomes more relevant. Or when we talk about the skeletal system, which comes up too pretty soon, we're going to do an analysis of our workstation, because, you know, we're all kind of posturally probably sitting quite crooked. And if I look at a skeletal system, and why would that be important to know as knowledge of how to not have it be crooked, is because a lot of chronic pain comes from long-term poor posture. And so stuff like that we integrate throughout the semester. So but at the end, I mean, we're going through stuff like when we do a little injury prevention, orthopedic evaluation, that you can learn how to make like a little workout routines that aren't just like, let's work these muscles to get them big, but work on your body to make sure you're strong enough in the core. And so if you're interested in that, things, or when we go through the brain, we talk about neuroplasticity and do a 5-day gratitude journal integration to understand what does that do. So I want to also give you some tricks, some sort of health tricks and hacks in some ways to make us feel happier and healthier and less. Well, the exercise we do today, this week, has to do with morbidity, and morbidity is how do we feel? Do we feel well? Do we feel energetic? Or do we feel we don't want to do anything? And so that's also part of this class. And I integrated it because it's, you know, the human body. And we have seen, especially if we go online, we have to be as physical as possible and as real life based and integrated, that A, you guys like it more, and B, you guys learn more, and C, it's actually the whole point in using what we're learning and not just having it so we can check off a box and have a grade. Anyway, and I'm talking about grade. All of these are the point values that then come up to 100 and give us the grade. And then again, if you come to lab, we have a few, to in person, we have a few extra credits. I think we got a couple of surveys as well that serve as extra credits as well. Okay, any questions so far?
How do you update? I know you have a, hello?
Hello?
Yes, I know you have in the modules, it says update your bio.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Yeah, let's go through the first week. Let me make sure. When we go through the first week, any questions to the syllabus before we move to that?
I don't know if this is like from the syllabus, but I just wanted to ask, like, how are we gonna get the coloring sheets for the labeling?
Well, they are
Like-
part of the material
Mhm.
that's in the printed material that you get from me.
Oh,
And you can also
yeah.
annotate them online, or you do have an ability to print yourself. I have it linked as well.
Okay, thank you.
There's multiple ways. Yeah, anybody else? Because then let's go to the first week, and then I'll be touching on the profile right away. And actually, that profile, we could do that first because that goes together with the this diversity tab page. That's very, very important to me, because I feel, you know, we it's always talked about, and also how we approach each other, especially in these, you know, harder times where everybody's just thinking everybody else is something else and we don't talk to each other anymore. It's very important to understand that my opinion is strongly that when we come together from different backgrounds, we enhance our experience. And we have to be open. We want to be open to other people's ideas and thoughts because it enriches ours. And so fundamentally, that is how I look at the world. That's what got me so far this way. And I think it's sort of how we want to see each other as enriching each other's lives versus we feel like threatened by each other's because of whatever the case is. And so that's sort of where the diversity goes. And then I bring in a few infographics on biases. And we have an activity about this in this first week as we get now into this first week where we update the profile, but we also in that activity, first week has a bunch of house cleaning type stuff, setting the tone for the class. In here, I also want you to reflect a little bit about something that you felt like this, discriminated about a little bit or so. And I want you to put it into a video, learn how to make videos that way, and post that, I think, by Sunday in this format here that is a discussion format. So what you do is you click reply here and then you upload the video that you make on that post. And you update your profile. And I know then that you updated your profile when your video is up. Making a video, the easiest way to make a video is by, I know the prompts are in here, are still going to Studio, but I found over the last few semesters that Studio is kind of unreliable. In some ways, Studio is not a Canvas-owned app. It's sort of an add-on thing that they plug in. What's much more reliable is actually our phone cameras, video making abilities, and then simply upload those files on the phone app if you can. If you can't do it that way, please reach out and we will figure out how to do it. And I do want to work on doing some tutorial work on that, on videos, because the one that Canvas actually or Studio sent out is no longer available for some reason. But when it comes to making a video, if you have challenges, reach out. I would just start thinking of making a selfie video and then uploading that on the Canvas app. And most of the time you don't have to make videos, but I would like to have this first prompt be in a video so we can see each other a little bit also and have a face, not just the person's name and words or voice, which is often, of course, also nice, but also see, and then you know how to do it. Afterwards, you can choose which format you want to put your work in on your own. Until the pathology project, then we have a video again. But if you're doing it once, a lot of you end up liking it actually and do more videos. Then how to do the profile. So if you look at here, it describes everything. Did you see this description? Who asked me? And so you go through these prompts and or actually this is the prompt here. This is the prompt you do to change the profile. So what you're going to do is you're going to press on a count up here and go into the profile. I'm not sure I could do it because yeah, here you press on profile like there. And then I got access denied for some reason. But then in there, let me get out of the student view, then you can see it. Because it's the same. So I press up here and then it goes into this and it looks like that. And so that's what I want you to do. So you click up here, and then if you click in there, it goes into profile. And once you're in profile, it comes up here, and then you can click here to edit it. You have to click there to edit it. And once you're done editing it, then it updates it. And this might not even be an updated link. I have to update this profile myself. So that's another thing there. So once you've done that, is that clear? Hello? Anybody? I need some feedback.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
Sorry.
Now we're talking. Yeah. You guys got to talk to me. Otherwise, I'm like, am I alone here? So then, when we look at the first week, all these weekly modules have an introduction part, a learning part, an applying part, and a lab part. Those apply lab are together. And then at the end, we wrap it up. We talk about what we did, and we have some further resources. And we also do a questions and tips Padlet. I don't know if you don't know Padlet. Yeah, we'll go through that. This is the first here is where we put these videos that we make Monday behind it. So you can just review it, or if you can't make it, you go there and look at it. Then this here is just describing what are we learning this week, what's going on, blah, blah. And then what are the assignments? I know first week has a lot of assignments, but they're small things. They're like this first one here. Read this lecture, how to talk to each other and be nice. If you don't know these rules yet, you better learn them now. So most of you probably just don't have to do much on that. Just look through it and be done with it. After that, I want you to do a netiquette contract. So be proper. And in here, that's right there. And all you do is say, like, I will talk nice to people. And then what do you expect from other people also? And so think aloud it for 5-10 minutes. I mean, that doesn't mean not taking it seriously, but it doesn't need to take you long, and it doesn't need to be all like super philosophical, unless you like to, then that's totally cool. I read all of those, believe me. And then we also have a question on the syllabus. After you read the syllabus, I want you to know a question, and then also what do you do to prepare yourself for class? We already talked about that. And then very important, these classes are fairly study intensive, especially at home. So a lot of that stuff is, watching videos and going through things. So and booklets and learning and sitting there, and that's also your study. But we also have a fair amount of assignments. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go through this plan your study thing and visually make yourself a calendar. Where do you going to study? When do you going to study? Of course, if you're going to hold to it or not, things change, life changes, but at least you have a blueprint, at least we have thought about it. And believe me, I got to do the same thing with me every semester to make sure I have enough time to do all the grading and everything. And so this, I figured since I got to do it, I'm going to make you do it. And so you do that here. Again, not too much time spent, just a thought to make sure we're properly prepared.
Hey, Dr. M.
Yes.
So with the Plan Your Studies, is that template available to us, or do we have to put it on our own personal calendar?
No, that's just a picture.
Oh, okay.
No, I figured because you can do handwriting, you can do it. Doesn't need to be all official. So that way I give everybody their own little way of doing it. Yeah, I like your creativity. So if you have a creative way of doing something, you can assure I'm going to like it, unless it's just not, getting the point across that we need to get across. But I want you to study the way you feel best studying. And so I know that might be a little scary because I might not give you, but I'm here to talk about it. So if you want to reach out, reach out. And so then every week, now we get to the meat and potato. Actually, every week we have a lecture series here. We have the lectures. I do them on the screen, into the computer, and also in the classroom. And then after that, we have everything presented in bullet points format. And these are tabs that go through everything. And then after that, and ideally you do that together with the booklets. That's the most learning uptake in the first intake, sort of what I've gotten through the years from the students. And then after that, each section has these questions. And these questions are where everything is described again in a paragraph and has a video to it. A couple don't, but most of them do. And it says quiz, but don't be alarmed. It's not like you can only take it once and it's going to give you a grade. You can take it over and over. The good thing is it's in a format that also the tests are in. So this is the same way the tests are designed. And so when we go here, start seeing the questions and you just answer them. So you have a paragraph to read and then you answer the question. You can even do that parallel with watching the videos if you want. Although I think it's better to have a two-way going through it. So you're not overwhelming the brain with too many steps. So the first is like you listen, watch the videos, and then you take notes in the booklets, and then you do these questions. That's sort of the ideal way. And then after that, we have other integration exercises. In this first week, we have a labeling and coloring, language of anatomy. Mostly those are after we get to the bone and to the, each assignment at the bottom has these criteria, these rubrics. So you can read what I want. And the way I grade all the assignments, except for the tests, is that you either get all the points if you do it, if it's sort of aligned, or you get none of the points if you're not finished with the work yet. Because it could, I don't necessarily check every bony label because we have so much repetition, but I spot check them and I for sure check for completion. And so if, like, let's say you do labeling, but you don't do the coloring, you will get 0 points because I don't want to give you 15 points. And then he's like, 15 points, that's good enough. So then you don't finish the work. So that way you end up finishing the work and get through the process of how the massaging the learning. So that's why I do that. The good news about that is if you do the work, you get 100 points. I mean, 100%. So it's sort of busy, but it's also, they call these formative assignments. So on an online version, it's very important to have a lot of those because that's how we massage the work instead of just saying, here's a book, read a book, and then come for the test. It doesn't really work that way, for most of us at least. Then when it comes to these label and coloring, you can upload them. You have them in the printouts. You actually can, I think there's a link here. They're here. You can download it again if you want. Or you can annotate it in a tablet version, for example, as well here. I don't recommend this on the phone because it becomes very cumbersome. I want you to use the best format possible. I even had a guy, when we get to the labeling and coloring stuff, he made videos. He was very versatile with doing that. So he made these creative videos to learn the material. And of course, I totally love that. I think I have them somewhere downloaded because they were really cool. So I try to be, yes, question?
Yes, you mentioned that for the quiz or the practice quiz as well, you said we can retake it as many as we want until we get 100%.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing you cannot do that with is the test.
Okay, the test. Okay.
And there's 3 tests. There's one test we do quite early after the 3rd week before we get into the muscle and bones. But every test has a very detailed test review. So you make sure you go through that as you go through the, as if, you watch the videos, take notes, absorb the material, then do the questions, and then a little later, then you do the activities, do the labeling, do the other things, and then you go to this here into the test review and make sure these bullet points you really understand. Because those are the ones, that's what I want you to know for sure for the test. And so that way you can prepare yourself as you go through the weeks, as you go through the material, and by the time we get to the test, you're all organized.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the test is open book.
Okay, thank you. And if by any chance we get a question wrong, do we in the end see you know what I mean?
Which one you are? I don't know if I have to see if I have that open on the tests, the exams, but I certainly have it open on the quizzes, on these questions.
Okay.
That way you can learn.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't put answers behind the wrong questions and say, hey, this is where you should look for it. But I think that you still can do that. So that's the questions, and that's also the label coloring. Then also the first few chapters, the first 3 chapters only till first test, I have discussions on understanding concepts. And so there's a few concepts that I really want you to understand. I put them in a question format. I want you to address all of those in a discussion prompt. Discussion prompts, again, or you can type it, but you can also upload videos and audios on here as well. You don't have to type. I have a hard time typing. It's very difficult for sometimes when English is a second language. And so I'm fully aware of that, or also other reasons, obviously. But for me, that's the problem for me. And so I want to give you all the ways you can learn this stuff, and we focus on the learning and not on the delivery. So that's just the first few chapters. Then these fall off and they get replaced by the coloring, labeling, which mostly is only this one. And then after the first test, we get into those. And then we have these health kit assignments. And these are really dear to me because they help us make this material usable in the outside world. And we start with a lifestyle assessment. This is a self-assessment that I want you to do on your own, that I do every time, where you go through 7 things here, 7 aspects of life that we can self-assess. Like they are, how is my posture? How's my food? How's my drinking water? How's my digestion? How's my stress? How's my exercise? How's my thinking? Those are things that I want you to read a little bit about. We have those described down here. I even have a video about it. These in here. And then I want you to self-rate yourself. And I don't grade you on that, but I grade you on doing it. How you rate yourself, that's up to me. And then afterwards, you have a score, an initial score. And then what we do in the second part, we go through learning the fundamentals of how to create a routine, a habit, which is, they had to spell this out. They always have to, these scientists, they always have to break everything down, which is fine, which is helpful sometimes. And here it's helpful because it makes us understand that we want to create a routine. We gotta have to have a drive, and how we're going to get a drive very often is by giving a reward. And believe it or not, one of the best rewards to give somebody to do more exercise is give them a piece of chocolate after they exercise, which is really funny. And so, as a Swiss guy, I got to be aware of that. But then after that, I want you to do a health challenge for 3 weeks. Well, 5 days, 3 times. So 15 days in 3 weeks. So we do Monday, you can do Saturday, Sunday, just you get 2 days off. Because I want us to improve on our feeling well, and we can always improve on either a chemical level, nutritional is that often, a spiritual, emotional level, how is our thinking, or a structural, physical level. How are we, sitting properly, exercising, doing that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to make you do one of the habits for each of them, but I'm going to, where is it? Sheesh. But I'm going to make you do either a health challenge of exercising for 30 minutes a day. That could be walking. Or ideally, that walking is kind of the easiest, but it doesn't have to be. It could be swimming, it could be bike riding, it just can't be shopping. That's not covered. Then, you got to get that heart rate up a little bit. And then, or you want to drink 2 quarts of water. That's about what we need anyway. So it's not really excessive. Or we can do something meditative, mindfulness, prayer for 10 minutes a day. And we do we don't do all of those. You can, but you don't do all of those. You just have to pick one of those, and you do that 5 times or 5 days, for 3 weeks. No, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. So you get 2 days off. And each time you're doing it, I'm going to create texting groups after you choose which routine you want to do. I'm going to, in the background, make these groups, and then you text the group, hey, I've drunk 2 liters of water, and you text, how's it make me feel? Gosh, I had to pee all night long or something, or you'll be surprised what comes out of it, because with the water group, a lot of times what comes out of it is things in the skin changing fairly quickly, and the skin gets cleaner, or the snacking gets less, and people lose weight and stuff like that. And with the other ones, there's changes too that happen after a few days of doing it, which is kind of interesting because we don't expect that to happen so fast. And so what I want you to do for the first week, this week, I want you to go through this assessment. I want you to work on one habit of your own that you can be fine talking to other people about. Just get the habit creation steps through. What are triggers, rewards, that stuff. Think it through, and then I want you to text or indicate which of the 3 health challenges you are going to do. If it's multiples, just indicate which one do you want to be part of the group for, which is your primary, because otherwise it gets quite a lot of texting back and forth and things like that. I don't want to make you get hundreds of texts a day, but I want to use it as a tool to keep each other sort of accountable to one another. Since we got this opportunity to do it, we might as well do it, right? And not just be boring and sitting in a chair. So that's that. Any questions to that? No listening?
No.
No.
You still have people here? Oh yeah, I got people here. We're good. I'm almost finished. I'm sorry, I'm going a little fast here, or a little lost. First week is just kind of a lot to get started. Most weeks we do here is we talk about the week, we do some work integrating it, and then we also, of course, have the ability to go deeper in material if somebody's interested. Then we finish up the week with a Padlet. Have you know about Padlets yet? Padlets are kind of cool. So what you do is you figure out something, that a topic, a concept that's still not quite clear to you, what we did this week. At the end of the week, you do that. And then you can ask a question about it, and we can all sort of chip in and help figure out what to answer. I use these a lot. I go through those a lot, and I use them as interactive tools because they're kind of cute the way they show up. It shows up like Post-it notes kind of thing. What I want you to do, though, please sign in and make a or sign into Padlet using your school ID and at ccperalta.edu, which is your email, Peralta email. And then we can see who is doing which post, and I can actually give you credit for it because I need to know who's doing it to give you credit for it. Or the other thing you can do is you just, if you can't figure out how to sign in to it, you can type your name in the title or somewhere. And then what you do is you just click on that plus button down there and assign a subject, and then you say something beautiful. And you can even choose a color. You can add little, clips or things, or clips, pictures you can add in and things like that. Video links and stuff like that. So it's a really kind of nice format. We do one of those every week just to finish up. No, again, nothing where you need to spend much time off. Just when you finish up the week and you got your stuff done, you go like, let's think about it again and reflect for a moment. That way we complete it, we finish it up. Oh, and this is also probably important too, as it comes to the work, as it comes to turning in work. See, you see these dates in here. These are the due dates. These are the point values. These are the due dates. These due dates are Sunday night, midnight is when I want the stuff in. However, I also want to give you flexibility to some way and leeway if you're maybe a little slow one week, or you want to do extra work another week and work ahead a little bit. I do, however, give you some penalty that's quite small if you're late, because that way we're most of us turn stuff in at the same time and we're kind of on track, because you do not want to get too far behind, because it moves quite fast if you do that. So the penalty I give you is 1% a day, which for the first 10 days if you're late, which you'll never, if you complete the work, fall below 90% with that penalty system. So again, it's more of a reminder than, trying to be nasty. It's just called a penalty. So we're just trying to be more or less on time. It's kind of the idea here. All right. Well, with that, I am pretty much done. I think what I wanted to say. Whew, that was a lot. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Great. Excuse me, Dr. M.
Yes.
Could I ask you, the workbook, is it mandatory to purchase the workbook,
It's
sir?
no, it's not absolutely mandatory. It is mandatory, but I can't make you buy it, obviously. But it's highly recommended because of the reasons I outlined as an enhancement. But you don't have to get it in case you don't or can't.
Is there a book that you would recommend?
A textbook?
Yes, sir.
Well, if you go to 20 A&P after this class, they use the Merritt book a lot, the anatomy book, which is a really good book. It's very text heavy, so it can be overwhelming. And detail level, the Merritt book is really detailed anatomy physiology. I mean, that is actually the one book I fully read cover to cover throughout my career in terms of anatomy physiology as I went through chiropractic school. A lot of other atlases and books and things like that I use as reviews more. But that one book is the one that I read. The other book that is used in Bio 2 is called Martini, but I don't like that book too much anymore. It's I mean, it's a good book. It's not that well bound. It's very expensive. It falls apart fast. The pictures are really nice, but the text is also it's just some nerdy people writing in, and so I have a hard time with that sometimes. But from a picture book, that is I think if you want to invest in something besides maybe the Merritt if you go further, or what I've created. The other thing is an atlas, an anatomy atlas, like and we can talk more about those. There is from multiple countries they come, but the one that's used a lot here in medicine, or mostly, is called Netter, Netter, and that's a very nice book to study. And then you have a reference, because a lot of it is looking up things. It's pictures that we do.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Hi, good morning. I have a question.
Yes.
Are we only gonna meet until the 19th on Monday, or are we also gonna meet on Wednesday?
We will, as we get closer, we're talking in person now, right?
Yes.
On Zoom, we always meet on Monday morning. And actually, I even forgot that since I created. I also want to try to figure out to do sort of a Q&A type session, maybe on Sunday mid-afternoon, somewhere, early mid-afternoon, to give folk give people who have homework questions or so an opportunity, because I think Sunday is sort of not for everyone, but a lot of people do the homework on the weekend. What was the question?
If we're only gonna meet until the
Oh, yeah.
19th on Mondays, or if we
Yeah,
could
no,
also
and
meet on Wednesday.
then as we get to the labs, we're gonna meet 219 starting for about 5 weeks, and I will reach out to you guys and figure out how many of you are coming to lab, or planning on doing that. And we don't have quite a good representation right now. I mean, we've got about 20 on the call, but we have over 70 in the classroom. And if I can fill up enough on a Monday, we'll do a Monday and a Wednesday. But if it's like the previous semester, as we came back from the pandemic, we always got about 10, 12 students in the class, and then it's just not enough for 2 classes, and then we just do the Monday.
Thank you.
So my hope, Monday, Wednesday. So I need you guys. But we want to have it enough students so we have interaction, we have a good time about it too.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So we do Zooms in the morning, and then we'll have the lab at night on Mondays, right? Okay, just clarifying.
Yeah. No, yeah, the Zooms are always, because
Oh.
I have students, they are living somewhere else too. They take it through here, and so they can't make it to the lab. That's partly why it's optional. And so we always do a preview Zoom. We generally, if you can't be part of the Zoom, that's also not the end of the world, because I post the recording afterwards. And a lot of times what we do in Zoom, we talk about what this week's looking like, what activities we do. So if somebody asks questions, then most of the questions are answered. From others, we go somewhat into the material. And so it is, if you're a little nerdy and you like the stuff, or you have questions, it is certainly good to be live, but it's not mandatory.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I have another question, Dr. M.
Yes.
Yes, so are the labs also not mandatory?
They're also optional, yes. They're very, again, highly recommended, because what I found over as we come back, we're trying to figure out how to do that. And there's certainly a deeper level of understanding in the students who make it to the classroom, and we can touch the muscles and the bones. And I talk about it. And I actually, last semester, I even came in a clown costume to be a little more, trying to get people coming in. But it enhances the experiences more and deepens it. And then of course, and then we have the dissections in the classroom. I'm also thinking this semester to put the health kits into the classroom, the ones that are happening while we're doing it. So you're also saving a little bit of time at home, instead of doing it at home, you're doing it with each other and have some fun with it. So I'm thinking of doing that. We actually started doing that last semester. I shouldn't say thinking of. I'm going to do that this semester as well. So bring like the injury prevention evaluation in, or the workstation, home workstation, the posture evaluation for sure.
Okay, and then one more question from me, Dr. Will we have a lab final
No,
test? No, okay. Thank you.
no, the labs are self-contained and credit-wise given in extra credit. The dissection parts have extra credit attached to them.
Thank you.
Gotta make sure everybody has opportunities here, not just the ones who can show up. Yeah.
I
Anybody
have
else?
a question.
Which please show up, because I gotta figure out how to get more people come back into the classroom, because it is a different experience. I know it's hard to get out of the easy comfort of home, but soon I'm gonna have it be a high flex situation where we're working in the classroom and from home at the same time. But that's probably next semester. We'll see.
I have a question. I don't know if you answered it already.
That's all right.
But about the textbook that we need for the class, you have pamphlets instead, or we have the option to get a textbook?
No, I got the textbook, the material, all the printed material, which is that booklet format. And so that's the one that I have for the course that I created for this course. I would like you to get it. Again, if you can for reasons, then don't. But I would prefer you get that book than a different book first, because the experience is just much deeper, and then you can build on it, and it's all integrated. Because one of the problems that also happens with textbooks is they don't pre-digest the material for the students. They just give you the text, and then you have to read it and process the material. And that's, for me, that's really hard, because there's so many new words that come thrown at us when we start learning something. And so that's another reason why I wanted to be a little bit different in the approach. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Nick, can you talk? I heard you. I see you say something in the chat. Can you say something to that topic? Hi, putting you on the spot, huh?
But the booklets, I have them right now, but like they're like hidden right now. But they are helpful because it's like basically the same thing that he has like on the modules and like on the videos that he have like in person or on the transcripts. Is basically like in the booklet, and like you can have your own personal one. I don't know how like the textbooks are like purchasing them from like the campus, if you got to return them or anything, but like I'll say it's better to get them in. Like he said earlier, it does come with the color sheets, so like yeah.
Anyway, that's all. Thank you for that. I just saw you saying that in the text. Because I know it's hard to figure out what to get, what not to get, where to, it's hard as a student. So, just do the best you can, and we'll figure it out all together at the end for sure. Anybody else? Or more detail on this question?
So I do have a question. I know that you like mentioned a little bit about the lab, like there's going to be dissections, but like what other activities can we expect at lab?
Well, we do go through muscles and bones with physical models. So we have that tactile integration. We also go to see cadavers. Potentially, that's what I want to do again this semester. We did last semester, where we go to see the cadavers as well, and work on the muscles a little bit in there. It's that again, it's also within there, not mandatory, because some people have a hard time with that, but for most of them it's very interesting. And then we do the health kit integration. We do the orthopedic evaluation for sure, we do, and the posture evaluation in the lab as well. That's in the muscle and bone part in the first month when we come back in. And then afterwards, we dissect the sheep heart, the sheep brain, a cow eyeball, and a sheep kidney as well in the lab.
That's it. Cool. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, people like the dissections, and we're having a lot of fun because it's good to feel the tissues too. It's different. The brain is different than a muscle. It's good to get a sense of that. It integrates everything a little bit more.
So I actually had another question, and I'm not
Yes.
sure if you answered it already, but
That's cool.
for your like tests and stuff, for like I know you did mention the study habits. Are we allowed to use our flashcards on our tests?
Yes, tests are open book.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. I want you to, but my goal is that the test is the last time in this semester that you process this material. And so that's how I see it. And so, yes, open book. So from the start, organize your material well. Go through the test review. As you've gone through the first chapter, for example, then maybe at the end, go through the bullet points in the test review and take a note for the ones you don't quite get yet. And maybe then a few days later, you go through those again or reach out and we'll go through, make sure you understand it. So the other thing is I don't want you guys to have loose ends. I want you to be very well defined. What do I expect from you? That way we can focus on the studying and not on the always being afraid of, oh, what's on the test, what's not on the test. Because if you have a real good test review, you can kick back and listen to the video and integrate the information at first and don't always have to think of the end, but of what I want on the test, but you can focus on learning the things and the concepts. And so that's my goal with that. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Then, so how do we get the materials? Will you be on campus this week or?
I'm in Oakland Tuesday in the morning to mid-afternoon, and then I'm on Friday morning and all afternoon on Saturday, and then I'm also in Walnut Creek the rest of the day, where I can be always available by appointment. Oh, just text me anyway, and I can also send it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I gotta figure out how to put it on campus too. That's a good idea. Give it, but I'm not on campus, but I can probably get it.
Is there a way? Excuse me, I have a question. Is there a way that we can print it out?
No, that's been years ago, and that don't have that ability currently anymore, unfortunately, because it's the way that the stuff has been progressing into this format. It's been changed a lot. Sorry about that. I know that's how it used to be, and then people complain so much about everything, and that's what people do. They complain, and then we'll figure out different solutions. So that's where that started. So watch out, don't complain too much. All right, anybody else?
Oh, I have a question. When we buy the books, can we keep it or?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they are yours.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh yeah. I have students, they end up using those things for when they get to the nursing school, because it's all like well organized and fairly easy understandable. I even had a person use it for the MCAT for medical school as one of their sources to get in and study the whole thing.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? It's nice to have all of you guys here. I'm really excited about this semester. It's a lot of us. So make sure you're in touch with me. Make sure you reach out. Don't be a stranger. I definitely expect about 30 texts in the morning when I wake up of questions. So don't be a stranger. Get into the material early, just to get your feet wet, Don't be afraid of learning about this anatomy. It should be a lot of fun because it's really about your own body. I know it's a STEM thing. It comes all like people are sort of afraid of. I was when I first started, but it's really a lot of fun. We're going to have a really good time, I think. All right. Well, with that, if nobody else has it, we can call it off and call it a week. I'm here for you guys. I'm also staying here on the call for a little bit longer. So if you want to stay behind and have other questions, just hang with me. Other than that, see you guys next week on Zoom. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. M. Thank you.
Bye, Dr. M. Thank you.
Thank you.